Good morning from the Disneyland Resorts, Biscuits. Yeah! It is a very early Monday morning during spring break, and Mondays have become some of the busiest days here at Disneyland and Disneyland California Adventure. So I figured, what better day than to do a multi-pass challenge day today to see just how long it takes us to get every single multi-pass at Disneyland, and maybe we'll venture over to Disney's California Adventure. Our last challenge, we actually did it in reverse. We started at DCA and then we came over to Disneyland, but that was not during spring break. So with the spring break crowds, I'm curious to see if we could have the same luck and pull every single Lightning Lane and just how long it takes, but also to talk you through some tips and tricks and strategies as to how to maximize multi-pass when you're coming to Disneyland, especially during a busy time of year. Because if you get multi-pass and you don't know how to use it, it is not worthless, but it is not going to be worth the money that you paid for it that you were hoping for. I am not staying at one of the resorts. I'm not a resort guest, but I am staying at a good neighbor property nearby, so I was able to walk to the Harbor Boulevard gate. I got here a little later than I wanted to. I got here at 6:39. I was hoping to get here a little closer to 6:30. They actually opened the gates at 6:45. Typically, the gates don't open to security until 7, and then we got to the gates here at about 6:48. And being at the front, while it's not the most crucial step, it is absolutely going to help because I'm going to be rope dropping Fantasyland today. Fantasyland here at Disneyland, you do not have multi-pass access to any of the Fantasyland rides. And today we're going to be rope dropping Peter Pan, which I'm really excited about. I've never done it, so we are going to learn that together along the way. And then after that, I'm hoping that our first Lightning Lane scan-in is going to be Space Mountain. However, I'm here, I'm at Disneyland, I'm at the gate. I do not have anything booked, and why is that? Well, here at Disneyland, you cannot purchase multi-pass or book your first ride until you physically scan into the park. So that's one of the reasons why if you're going to be using multi-pass here at Disneyland, the earlier you get to the park, the better, because the later you get, the harder it is to get some of those Lightning Lanes for the most popular attractions, whether that's here at Disneyland or over at Disney's California Adventure. So after we scan into the park and our speed walk sashaying down Main Street, we are also going to be purchasing multi-pass and reserving our first selection, which is going to be Space Mountain, which hopefully we get from 8 until 9. There's a 1-hour window. And then while we're rope dropping in Fantasyland, I might try to modify that a little bit later, but if the times are pushing out too far, we're going to ride as much as we can in that first hour in Fantasyland and then move on to Space Mountain. We cannot reserve another Lightning Lane attraction until either we have scanned in for the attraction that we have reserved or a 2-hour window has passed, which will then allow you to start stacking some Lightning Lanes throughout the day. And kicking off the 2-hour window sometimes isn't a bad thing. So while we are trying to get as many attractions done as quick as we can, there is still inevitably going to be a moment where we have to book outside that 2-hour window, which means we are going to have to try to modify and refresh for an early time. Modifying and refreshing is essentially booking attraction that is further out and then bringing it up in the modify feature and pulling down on the tab to try to get an earlier time to pop up. If you're lucky, earlier times for attractions will pop up throughout the day, and if you have a fast enough finger, you can grab it and you can take that time that might have been 2 hours or sometimes 3 hours into the future of your day, and you can make that to a more immediate time. But again, sometimes that earlier time will pop up and you just will not be fast enough to get it, but that doesn't mean that it will not pop up again. It takes persistence, it takes time, and it takes patience. It is about 7:10 a.m. I've got my Dutch brothers, thanks to my best friend Reed, who gave this to me last night. Thank you! And I am ready to slay our multi-pass day at Disneyland. Let's go! It's 7:30 a.m. We made it to the rope. I purchased multi-pass. I booked Space Mountain. Today multi-pass was $27, which isn't too bad, especially if we are able to get every single attraction today. So step 1 and 2 complete. Now we wait for the rope to drop at 8 a.m. We are going to be speed walk sashaying our way through the castle to Peter Pan. We're going to knock out as many rides as we can over there at Fantasyland in the first hour, and then we are going to scan in before 9 a.m. I almost said p.m. dares, before 9 a.m. over at Space Mountain. Let's go! Also important to mention today that we are rope dropping Fantasyland because it is a non-early entry day for resort guests. If it was early entry, I would not be going to Fantasyland because Fantasyland and Tomorrowland are the two lands open for early entry. If you are a resort guest here at Disneyland, make sure to check the calendar because it alternates days where early entry happens. So today on Monday, it's over at DCA. Tuesday, it is going to be here at Disneyland, and then it will continue to flip-flop throughout the week. It is 7:50 a.m. and here is a look at the rope drop crowds right now. Bye-bye. Here we go! Whoever you are, I love you, I see you, you're my spirit animal, and I hope you see this. Hey. Where's Matt? Matt! Ooh, that is a crazy rope drop. I can kind of confidently say this might be the last time I ever rope drop Peter Pan. Peter Pan is by no means one of my more favorite attractions. However, I have a lot of love and appreciation for this ride. And I will also say that I like this version more than the version at Magic Kingdom. I feel like the version at Disneyland flows a little bit better. The visuals are a little bit more vibrant and it's easier to see them as you are traversing the course. And there are also some thrilling elements where you quite literally feel like you are soaring your way through Neverland. Rope dropping Peter Pan has a huge upside. We were some of the first people on for the day, and you are knocking out one of the most popular family rides at all of Disneyland. Remember, there is no multi-pass line, and the line usually holds steady for the entire day, over 30 minutes. And due to those reasons, I don't often get to ride this ride, which makes getting on it even more special. This was such a fantastic way to start the day. 8:05 a.m. and we are off Peter Pan and in line for Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, but already Fantasyland is quite crowded. Snow White's line is in the outside part of the queue. Peter Pan is already at a full queue. Dumbo's a pretty long line. So we're going to try to hit as many of these rides as we can, but we still have plenty of time before our window finishes over at Space Mountain, but I'm also going to check to see if I can modify it a little bit later, but not too much so, because again, we've got to scan in for Space Mountain before we can reserve our next Lightning Lane. But so far, very successful road drop and a great start to the day. Yeah!
Para su seguridad, por favor permanezca sentado y mantenga las manos, brazos, pies y piernas dentro del vehículo. Y por favor, cuide a los pequeños. Esperamos que disfrute de... ¡Oh, mi box!
That is all.
It is currently 8:13. We just got off of Mr. Toad's Wild Ride and we are in line for Pinocchio's Daring Journey. Right now Snow White has a little bit of a queue, Pinocchio's is a walk-on, Dumbo has a decently long line, and then we have not checked on Alice in Wonderland yet. But up next, another classic Fantasyland attraction.
This will be your new home.
Be careful! No, this way!
It's 8:18 a.m. and we are off Pinocchio and in line for Snow White's Enchanted Wish. Now, this line has gotten a little bit longer. It says it's about 20 minutes, so this might cap our last ride here in Fantasyland before going to scan in, because again, judging by these crowds, I don't want to scan in too late for this first attraction because times are going to start pushing out even further. So we're actually going to take a second right now to look at the tip board. My storage is full on my other phone, so I actually just had to switch to my phone while I am currently mass deleting a lot of things on my other phone, and I have a terabyte phone. My goodness. Anyway, we want to get over to Space Mountain as quick as we can because judging by these crowds here in Fantasyland, granted, this is a very popular rope drop first thing in the morning, especially for a lot of the families that are coming in. We want to make sure that the lightning lanes are not pushing out too far. So let me get over to the tip board. Let's check to see where we're at, because after Space Mountain, it's going to be Indiana Jones. Be right back. Biscuits. I completely forgot. Indiana Jones has gone down today for refurbishment. So yesterday, I am so glad that we went on it. I completely forgot that that was happening. So that actually makes today a lot easier. Space Mountain Mountain is going to be the most difficult Lightning Lane to get, especially later in the day. But after this, I'm not really sure what to get because the attractions that I would book, like Haunted Mansion, Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway, Big Thunder Mountain Railway, they're not showing out too far. So as soon as we get off of this, whichever attraction is showing out the furthest, once we get over to Space Mountain, that is going to be the ride that we book, and then we'll refresh from there. But I completely forgot about Indiana Jones. One of my favorite games to play before getting on is guessing which car we're going to get, because all of the cars are the Seven Dwarfs. So I am going to say that we are going to be getting Grumpy. And we are going to be getting Doc next time. We ended up getting off Snow White at 8:34 a.m. So to be able to essentially make it on 4 Fantasyland rides in that first half hour, y'all, that's a sleigh. That's honestly pretty incredible. And then Alice in Wonderland right now, which is probably next to Peter Pan the most popular attraction, only a 15-minute wait right now. So to be able to get on 5 attractions in essentially 45 minutes, that is a great way to start, especially since, once again, these rides do not have Lightning Lane Multipass access. So after we get off this, we are going to have to go over and scan in for Space Mountain. But the name of the game is not only getting as many Multipass selections as possible in a short amount of time, but not having to be on our phone for the entirety of our Disney day. And again, the later you wait to book those attractions, the more you are going to be on your phone refreshing for earlier Lightning Lanes and kicking off that 2-hour rule. When it comes to multipass selections that are usually the quickest to go, those can include for sure Indiana Jones when that's in play, but then believe it or not, Roger Rabbit and Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway, those can be some of the top 3 fastest to go. Big Thunder Mountain Railroad is usually not that difficult to get, along with Haunted Mansion, Star Tours, Pirates of the Caribbean. I personally, if I was staying all day, I would hold off on Big Thunder Mountain Railroad until the nighttime, because riding Big Thunder at night, let alone with the fireworks, is incredible. So you could even consider rope dropping here in Fantasyland, maybe getting in on a ride or two, and then going over to Big Thunder Mountain Railroad while that has a shorter queue, and then saving that multi-pass selection for a nighttime ride as well. It is 8:50 a.m. and we are about to board Alice in Wonderland, which not a bad line at all. It is 8:55 a.m. and we are off. Oh, what ride are we doing? I can't even remember what ride we just went on. We just got off Alice in Wonderland, and it is time to go head over and to scan in for Space Mountain. I'll be curious to see this one because Matt is actually going to do single rider line while I scan into Lightning Lane. So I'll be really curious to see who gets on first. All right, if the line is long, do you think you're going to stay?
Single rider?
Yeah, for single rider. Okay. Yeah, he's probably going to get on way faster because usually in the morning for single rider Space Mountain, it's usually a pretty light crowd. And back when I really wasn't doing content, I used to come to the park and just do single rider line on Space Mountain and just see how many times I could get on it. But since that time, that was like 2019, it has gotten a lot more crowded over in the single rider line later in the day, so that luxury has kind of gone. But earlier in the day, take advantage of that single rider line. Just saying. Oh my goodness, Finding Nemo! I am so excited to not ride this today. Absolutely not. Dares, have you been on Finding Nemo in that submarine? It is quite literally one of the most uncomfortable ride experiences I have ever experienced. Again, I'm a tall biscuit. I'm 6'3". And not only are the seats very cramped and compact, you gotta duck your head. I have to hunch down with my knees to my chin just to try to get a glimpse out of the little peephole. It is a nightmare. So we will absolutely not be going on Finding Nemo today. So right now, Matterhorn bobsled actually has the longest line at 35 minutes. I was going to reserve Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway because that's not showing until 11:15. That is currently the furthest out multi-pass, but we're going to go with the longer line rather than the shorter line because I could go over and just do standby. Runaway Railway, it takes a while to build a standby queue. It's one of the last people go during the morning, so I also love rope dropping there and going over to see Mickey Mouse. But for now, we got Matterhorn bobsled for 10:20 a.m., so you know the name of the game. It is time to start refreshing to see if we can pull an earlier time. So again, to modify, you're going to be on the home page. You're going to hit those 3 dots. We're going to go to modify plan, and then we start pulling down to refresh, and let's see if we are able to get an earlier time to pop up. It is very rare that this ever happens while I'm actually recording. As you can see, it just bumped up 5 minutes to 10:25, 10:30. So right now, y'all, the Lightning Lanes are starting to go at 9 a.m., which sounds about right. Let's see what we can do. 9:16 a.m. and we are off our first Lightning Lane of the day, Space Mountain. And right before I was able to board, I was able to get that 10:20 Matterhorn to 10 a.m., which is actually really, really good. 45 minutes to wait, not that bad. We could knock out another attraction, maybe go back to the teacups, maybe even Runaway Railway, and then scan in for Matterhorn bobsled. Again, that's a pretty good refresh, but the Lightning Lanes are already showing out towards 11. So 9 a.m., that's going to be the time when you really start to see those Lightning Lanes start to push. So keep that in mind. The earlier you are here, the easier it is to access those really difficult Lightning Lanes to get for the most popular attractions here at Disneyland. We are currently headed back to Fantasyland because Runaway Railway's line still isn't that long, so I think we're going to hold off on getting a Lightning Lane for that, and we're going to continue at Fantasyland with the Mad Tea Party, and then once we get off of that, we'll see where we're at. It's about 10:20 a.m. right now. Sorry, 9:20 a.m., but we can scan in at 9:55 a.m. for Matterhorn bobsled. Remember, there is a 5-minute window in both directions, so you can scan in 5 minutes early and up to 5 minutes late, but then that can also be at the discretion of the cast members if you're going to be running late to the attraction. You can always let them know, or again, just try to modify for a later time. (9:28) and we have boarded the Mad Tea Party. Matt, how fast are you spinning?
As fast as humanly possible.
Help! I am just going to be a passenger princess and hope for the best.
Let's spin these cups.
I love that. Whee! No, not faster. Mad Tea Party is going to be another attraction to do at night because with the lanterns and it being outdoors, it is a gorgeous experience at night. So again, do Mad Tea Party earlier in the day because it's usually always a walk-on. And then if you can get on it at night too, definitely do that because with the lanterns, completely different experience. Up next, we're going to be doing the Storybook Canals. And then after we do this, oh, where am I going? And then after this, we should be able to scan in for Matterhorn bobsled. It is about 9:50 a.m. and we are about to board Storybook Canal. So get ready to enjoy one of the most magical rides in all of Fantasyland and Disneyland.
Like all good stories are beginning with Once Upon a Time with the Three Little Pigs and the Big Bad Wolf. If you don't like the stuff from the canal, you can see the Three Little Pigs house. One minute draw, one minute stroll. Grab it down, that rabbit hole, all the way to Wonderland. I think only got curiouser. Now to Alice to your cup of tea, we have London Parsons with a little help of a genie and the power of love. They got their happily ever after and lived in a Sultan palace to this day. Their story to be filled with love and money, like the archways above us, where some say Aladdin took Jasmine on their first carpet ride, where they soared over, sideways, and under, to our whole new worlds. Home to the Seven Dwarfs, where if you look closely you can see their minds, and you can hear snow singing inside.
We are scanned in for Matterhorn bobsled, Lightning Lane number 2, and I just got very lucky. I was able to pull a 10:20 Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, which right now it is a little, wait, what time is it? I think it's about 10 a.m. Let me check. Yes, it's about 10 a.m. So after we finish Matterhorn, we're going to be able to scan in right away for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. So again, we are off to a sleigh so far today. With all the rides we have gotten done, we are doing a thing. Oh, biscuits, here we go. Fantasyland is nowhere near as bad as Tomorrowland, but it's so brutal. I hope you enjoyed those slow-mo The slow-mo clips of me on Matterhorn. Sometimes that happens. I don't know how. I do that all too often where I think I'm videotaping and then I'm on slow-mo or I'm like super slow. That scares me every single time. No! So, I cannot with you. That was literally, did you see me jump from the horn? Oh my goodness.
I didn't even think about
Oh!
skating until that moment.
Oh my goodness. Y'all, be ready for Matterhorn. The Fantasyland side is not as aggressive as Tomorrowland, and especially earlier in the day if you ride it, it's not going to be running quite as fast as it's capable of running. But if you are riding Tomorrowland side later in the day, let alone in the back row, brace yourself, Biscuit, because what a ride. It is a ride that you will remember for the rest of your Disney day. So I avoid that as much as I can. While that wasn't terrible, it definitely was not great. But I think the worst part is still getting in and out of the ride. That is like the hardest part for me. Oh my goodness.
That actually was not too rough on my back.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, so my goodness. But out of the next Lightning Lane is going to be Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. I think standby, it's only like 15 or 20 minutes right now, which isn't too bad. But we pulled that immediate Lightning Lane. It was showing close to noon, so we're going to take it. It is currently 10:12 a.m. I'm able to scan in for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway in, I can't do math, 3 minutes. But y'all, we got very lucky because it was showing 15 and the line just jumped up to 30. It might even be longer. The line is outside of the building. So the fact that we were able to pull that 10:20 when it was showing through noon, that was really, really good luck. So again, patience and persistence with Multipass pays off big time. I do not recommend spending your entire day modifying and refreshing, but if you spend a couple minutes and you modify and you're able to pull a time, great. If you're not, do what we did today already, which is go to some other attractions, go to Fantasyland, and these rides that either have shorter wait times that maybe you want to get on twice, or that don't have multi-pass access, just to make sure that you're capitalizing on your time and not wasting it. Because especially if this is a vacation, it's spring break, you want to be able to maximize all the time that you have. Scanned in, and I just reserved Haunted Mansion, which is showing out until 11:35. It is 10:15 right now, and we got luckier than I thought because Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway right now is already at 1 p.m. So we will take it, and then after this, I'm going to try to refresh a little bit until we get into the pre-show. But now might be a great time to just have a coffee break. Maybe grab. They have the best grapes and pineapple spears here, and don't even get me started on the Disneyland pickles or maybe even a popcorn. But it might be time to just grab a little snack. Find a seat on a bench, people watch, and just take it in. I'm going to say this probably at least 3 more times throughout the video. Please do not forget to slow down when you come into the parks. Sometimes we live in a constant state of speed walk sachet. I know I do, and I forget to slow down, grab a coffee, find a seat, and just take it all in. Because being here, that is part of the magic. And sometimes that gets lost in the hustle, bustle, and shuffle of trying to get from ride to ride and cram in everything that you can. So please promise me, Biscuit, that you are going to remember to slow down when you come to the parks. Promise? Okay, thank you.
Here for the 3-hour premiere.
Nothing can stop us now. Now,
It's 10:35 and we are off Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway. I have not been able to refresh yet for Haunted Mansion, and 11:40 did pop up again, but that is the time that we have right now. So we're going to do a couple things. Number one, it is Monday, so we're going to go over and maybe check to see if any new merch has dropped today. Maybe grab a coffee. We still haven't been on Casey Jr. over in Fantasyland, and all the while, I'm going to be continuing to try to refresh to see if we can pull an earlier time. But I forgot that Roger Rabbit is also another really popular Lightning Lane, So I think we're gonna have to hold out on, can't even talk anymore. Hold out on that and stick with Haunted, then Tiana, and then Roger Rabbit after that. So let's go head over down to Main Street. Alice in Wonderland is currently into its extended queue just a little bit, and when you start seeing these Fantasyland rides, especially getting into an extended queue, you know that it is about to be a very, very busy day. Let's go! So right as we were about to walk into the Emporium, I was refreshing, and I think some more times might have dropped. It's about 10:52 a.m., and I was just able to snag an 11:05 a.m. So we're gonna head over to Haunted Mansion, and we're gonna get scanned right in for that, and then we are probably gonna book Tiana's Bayou Adventure. The walls were still up yesterday, and the walls just came down in front of Jolly Holiday, which is going to be opening on Friday. I'm so excited to have this back. This is my favorite place to eat in Disneyland. This and then the Plaza are going to be my two favorite places to eat. Anyway, we just afforded ourselves time. So let's say I was doing Park Hopper today, which I could if I wanted to, and going over to DCA and trying to get the Lightning Lanes over at DCA. But the trick with going Disneyland to DCA is that DCA is in the thick of Food and Wine Festival. So the afternoons at Disney's California Adventure are buku bonkers nutso insano. So I don't know if I would recommend doing that. If you're gonna do a park hopping day, I would recommend starting at DCA and then park hopping into Disneyland, because I can imagine, especially with Guardians of the Galaxy being down, getting those Lightning Lanes in the afternoon at DCA is gonna be a little bit more of a challenge. And note to self, if you don't have to walk through Adventureland, don't do it. It bottlenecks like crazy. Take the route through Frontierland. We were just walking into Adventureland, and Matt was like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh my goodness, thank you. So we are now gonna be walking through Frontierland. Avoid Adventureland at all costs. We are scanned in and actually about to head into the pre-show for Haunted Mansion, and when I got in the line, I was able to hold a 150 for Tiana's Bayou Adventure, so we are going to do the best that we can to try to refresh that up to a little bit earlier, especially right now since it's hitting the hot part of the day. It would be great to get on this, especially if we get wet, so we are at least drying during the hot part of the day. But up next, Haunted Mansion!
The real chills come later.
This is undoubtedly the most stressful merge in all of Disneyland. It's not too bad right now, but this is a really wide space that narrows out to a very small space. So just keep that in mind, especially if you're coming with a group of people. This is a really tight merge, and it can be pretty chaotic when it's this far backed up.
Goblins and ghoulies from last Halloween, awaken the spirits with your tambourine.
Playful spooks have interrupted our tour. Please remain seated in your doom buggy. We will proceed in just a moment.
And will haunt you until you return. Now I will raise the same.
11:22 and we are off the Haunted Mansion, and I've been trying with Tiana's to modify it a little bit. I was able to get it down to 110, but it's really not budging right now. So we're gonna go back to what our plan was prior to Haunted Mansion. Maybe grab a coffee, go look to see if any new merch is dropped, and just take in the beautiful sights of a very crowded Disneyland on spring break. So let's head on back to Main Street. These are currently the crowds coming down Main Street right now. Bye. We're going to take a quick recess from the park and actually head over to World of Disney over in downtown Disney, just because when they have new merch, they usually have a really nice display that accompanies it, so it makes it easier to see. Where Emporium, for me, it's just like a little scrambled and a little jumbled, and I get very overstimulated. So the layout of World of Disney works more for me. So let's head to World of Disney. As we're walking to World of Disney, let's do a quick morning recap. 10 rides, Biscuits. We have done 10 rides from rope drop to right now it's a little after 11:30, which is incredible. That is a very successful rope drop, especially on a very busy day. 4 of which were lightning lanes. Our next lightning lane is still going to be Tiana's at 110. We could scan in for that at 105. But getting lightning lanes for the rest of the day, we have a couple big hitters with Roger Rabbit. That's going to be a tough one to get. And right now, just with how crowded it is, all of them are going to be a little bit challenging. So we are going to have to refresh for our lives, but we are going to get it done. Let's go! So as Matt and I were just kind of sitting here relaxing and taking it easy in the shade, I was just able to pull a 12:10 for Tiana's Bayou Adventure, which is amazing. Oh, I don't even know if you saw it. Well, now you can, 12:10! So it is currently 11:54. We can scan in at 12:05. This buys us time with how fast, like Tiana's, for example, right now is showing out to 4:35. So to be able to have this time now, to be able to give to, I think next will be Roger Rabbit, is massive. So we're gonna wait on Matt's coffee, then we're gonna head in and get scanned in for Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Did you really think that, oh, there goes 15 cents right on the ground, my goodness. Did you really think that I was gonna come to Disneyland and not get myself a popcorn? Look, if you ever see me leaving the park and I do not have a park exit popcorn, please come up and ask me if I'm okay, because chances are I am not. That is one of my toxic Disney traits, is most every day I leave the park, I have to stop at that last cart, grab a popcorn, and have the popcorn for the walk home. It is one of my favorite things to do leaving the park. So again, if I don't have one, help. 12:14 and we have made it over to Tiana's Bayou Adventure. This is my first time ever using a lightning lane, so I think the entrance is down here, but as you can see, it is a completely full queue. The queue does say it is a 50-minute wait time right now. I have no gauge on how that is just because I've never waited in this long of a queue. I've been pretty lucky to be able to usually just like walk on or have to wait no more than 10 minutes, but yes, okay. Wait, no, single rider? Okay, yes, and Lightning Lane is gonna be up here to board. And then as soon as we scan in, I'm gonna have to look to see what is the next one to book, but I'm thinking it's gonna be Roger Rabbit. So let's go enjoy Tiana's and not get soaked. We are scanned in for Tiana's Bayou Adventure, and for now we have a safety hold on Roger Rabbit at 2:30, which really isn't too bad, but I'm gonna check to make sure that that is the one that is showing one of the furthest ways out, and then try to either refresh that to earlier or refresh onto another Lightning Lane. And also, we have been moving and grooving all the way through this Lightning Lane, so this is going to be the merge right here. We should be on in the next 10 minutes. And after checking the tip board of all the attractions I have not done yet, Roger Rabbit is indeed showing out the furthest. So let's see if we can modify it to an earlier time. 12:21, we just boarded. Enjoy the ride! The Pooh is in an extended queue and coming out of the queue. I'm gonna guess that this is gonna be in between 20 or 30 minutes, which if you know Winnie the Pooh, is not something you see all too often. It is so good to get back on TTs, especially since, you know what, I didn't get it that bad. There are some parts in the ride where the water, actually Matt is like an expert at this. How many times have you been on it?
Over 170.
Over 170 times. So Matt knows every little in and out as to when the water might be coming over the side, depending on where you are sitting, so you can kind of like brace and prepare for it. But then the good thing about being able to sit in the back row is that you get to tuck, or even the front row, you get to tuck your feet into the log, so your feet are gonna stay dry for the entirety of the ride. If you are in any other row, your feet are more times than not gonna be getting completely soaked. Sorry, the crowd is crowding right now in the pathways, so I just stopped recording. But yeah, Tiana's here, absolutely obsessed. It's more of a thrill here than it is in Florida. Florida, you meander through the ride a little bit more. It's very much like floating through the bayou, where Tiana's here happens really, really quickly. So you're like in a constant state of like looking side to side and taking in everything that's happening. The drops are fabulous, so good to get on Tiana's, but get in the back if you can. If you're gonna be riding in row 1, to quote Matt, good luck. Hey guys, so here's a look right now at Fantasyland. So we were gonna come over and get in line for Casey Jr., especially since I haven't been able to refresh for an earlier time for Roger Rabbit. And Casey Jr. right now, unfortunately, seems to only be running one train. And then Dumbo has a very long queue. I wanna say Dumbo's probably around like 30 or 45 minutes. It is very crowded, the carousel as well. Going through the castle, like that's another thing I would do right now is go through Sleeping Beauty's castle. That is a lot of fun to do and oftentimes a missed attraction. So there are plenty of other things that you can do that do not involve waiting in the lines or continuing to non-stop refresh for Lightning Lanes if you do not want to do it. This is currently the beginning of the queue for the Mad Tea Party. I am so glad that we went on this earlier. This is the longest extended queue I have seen for Mad Tea Party. It does have a turnaround right back here before taking you back to the main queue area. Let's go. Was just able to modify the 2:30 for Roger Rabbit to a 12:55 for Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, which is literally right now. So we're gonna go head over, get on Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, and then I will try rebooking Roger Rabbit. Let's go! Just a little refresher, if you are going to be trying to modify for an earlier Lightning Lane time, you are going to go into My Plan or Today's Plan, and then you're going to scroll down to your reservation that you have booked. You're going to click on it, and then you're going to go into Modify That Plan. And then you are going to just start pulling down on the screen, and then you will see that the times, sometimes they'll say the same, sometimes they'll go to later, and then sometimes they'll pop up earlier. So if you're the quickest to the draw on that earlier time, it will then register as the earlier time, but sometimes you'll click that earlier time and it's gone. So you have to be persistent and you have to be patient. Now, let's say you booked a safety hold. You always have a ride reserved when you have multi-pass, but sometimes we use a safety hold on a ride that we're not going to use to modify to another ride. What you're going to do is you're going to follow those same steps and go into modify, and then you are going to scroll to the attraction that you want to book. So that way, when you pull down on the screen to refresh, it is going to jump right to the ride that you want to reserve. So that way, if an earlier time pops up and you have the fastest finger, you're able to get that without having to scroll down the entire screen in order to get the ride. Thank you very much. Have a good day. I actually modified off of Roger Rabbit and onto Buzz Lightyear for 2:45, so I'm going to try to get that. And then I'm also looking to see if Autopia and Star Tours brings up a time that is closer to now as well. But for now, we're just going to have to play the slots a little bit, enjoy the bench, the sights, the sounds, the view, and then hopefully we're able to pull an earlier time for our next ride. Okay, a little bit of a curveball, but a really good curveball. So I was just able to modify onto Pirates of the Caribbean, which, as I just mentioned, is down for 135, and it is currently 120. So here's what could possibly happen. There are two outcomes. Number one, Pirates comes back up, and then we are able to just scan in here in 10 minutes and go on. If it doesn't come up, what happens? Great question. So we are going to get what is called a multiple experience pass. And what we can do with that multiple experience pass is either wait for Pirates to come back up or go use it at another attraction. Here's the thing with Pirates. The rides here are tiered. So for example, high tier rides when it comes to multiple experience passes are going to be Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway, Matterhorn Bobsled, Space Mountain, Indiana Jones. So if you break down on those rides and you get a multiple experience
experience pass, you can use it at the attraction that went down or at one of those other attractions. Pirates is a lower tier, so I would say the best ride of the Pirates tier that you could use it to go on again would be Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, and then Pirates is also great. So we will get a multiple experience pass in the next few minutes if Pirates does not come up, so we can either use it at Pirates or go use it at one of the other listed attractions, which I will show you if we get the pass. Very interesting. So Pirates did not come back up. However, I received my my redemption, and y'all, redemptions to use at other attractions may be gone. Here's a screenshot of it. So basically, I don't think this is a bad thing, mind you. I have the redemption for Pirates of the Caribbean, but I can only use it at Pirates of the Caribbean when Pirates of the Caribbean comes up. However, the good thing about it is I am able to rebook on another attraction. So technically I have Pirates booked, and then I was just able to stack another Lightning Lane, which I went in for Buzz Lightyear again, and I'm gonna try to modify that earlier or modify that onto one of the attractions that I haven't done yet. So very interesting. I'm not mad at it. I think that it's actually very, very smart.
Yes! Just pulled a 140 for Buzz Lightyear and it's currently 137. So over to Buzz Lightyear we go. Wow, 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 wow. I very rarely see Buzz Lightyear's queue going all the way over here into the extension. There we go. Have a good day. Thank you. I have yet to become a galactic star hero on this, so if I get somewhere between 400,000 and 500,000, that's going to be a sleigh for today.
I see. I will remain here at Star Command to coordinate the mission. Battle stations, report to the...
No! 938,200. I was so close!
Welcome aboard the world famous Jungle Cruise! Oh, come on! World famous Jungle Cruise! My name is Skipper Brian. I'll be your skipper for as far as we get. All right, get up for our star attraction. Here it is. It's the dark side of water. Yeah, 02H. 02H. There we go. To each other. We were bonding and everything. I enjoyed myself so much on this cruise. You know what? I think I'm going to go again. Yeah, and again and again. For 8 hours.
I haven't been on the Jungle Cruise in so long, and thanks to Matt and a little friend and a little pixie dust, we got to go on Jungle Cruise, and the park and the lines, y'all, have really, really filled out. I may have to put in a look at the tip board right now, but that's also making it more difficult to refresh for some of these earlier times. However, Pirates wasn't looking good. Pirates actually came back up. They removed all of the times from the Lightning Lane as well, which when they do that, sometimes that's kind of like an indicator that they're going to be down for a while, and it came back up. So we can go and redeem that. I'm still trying to refresh for Roger Rabbit. Roger Rabbit is still giving us a really, really hard time. It is not budging. Actually, I got it up a little bit to 410, so we're going to go scan in, get on Pirates since that came back up, and then we'll see where we go from there. I do not think I can reserve another attraction once I book Pirates since I still have Roger Rabbit, but we'll see once we scan in, and then once I get in the line, I'm going to try to get that time up for Roger Rabbit earlier, or Star Tours, or Autopia. Just keep in mind that if a ride has been down for a while and you're going to come back and you only have standby, that the Lightning Lane might back up the standby queue a little bit. So if you're really early to the ride reopening, you're going to be good to go, especially for Pirates because it's so high capacity. However, if you get back a little bit later and the Lightning Lane compiles, then prepare for the wait to be a little bit longer than usual.
Biscuits. And this line that you're looking at that's behind me is the line for pirates right now. I am so glad that I was able to not only get, but use my Lightning Lane to redeem on it, because this is the longest I have ever seen. Hi! Hold on one sec! This is without question the longest I have ever seen the queue. That's my thoughts exactly for Pirates of the Caribbean. They are currently setting up more of the extended queue as we speak to accommodate for the line as it goes all the way back to here.
Biscuits, I forgot to mention that before I got on Pirates, I was able to pull Roger Rabbit for $3.25, which is right now. So we got aboard. Let's get on. Currently a posted 16-minute queue. I am so glad to be skipping this.
Every time I ride Roger Rabbit, I get off saying, what an underrated attraction. This is one of the movies I watched the most. Did you feel the temperature just drop?
Yeah.
Wow, okay, we gotta hustle buns because it's gonna be raining here pretty soon. This is one of the movies that I watched the most as a kid, which is kind of strange because I was afraid of a lot of things as a kid, and this movie, though it terrified me, I was enthralled with Jessica Rabbit. I was enthralled. That's how I knew very early on, wink, wink. But this ride is so much fun. It's not to be skipped when you're coming to Disneyland, especially if you can get a Lightning Lane. 60 minutes, oh boy, it is a little bit lower capacity. So this is a great rope drop as well. One of my personal favorite rope drops is coming here first thing in the morning on a non-early entry day, going to rope drop Mickey Mouse, who will be outside, then hitting Runaway Railway, then hitting Roger Rabbit. It is the perfect way to start your day, and this attraction is just so incredible. All right, on to the next. Biscuits. That is going to do it for us today at Disneyland. Between the change in weather and the crowds, we are going to call it a day today at the happiest place on earth. But before we do that, I'm going to exit the park, and then we are going to do a quick rundown and breakdown of how today went. Ah! Where did this wind come from? Oh my goodness, it's crazy how quickly the weather changed from what it was earlier to what it is now. It has dropped like 10 degrees. Anyway, y'all, we did the thing today. I have one word to say to describe how it went. Y'all already know. Say it with me. Slay! Now, did we get every Lightning Lane? No, we did not. Would we have? 100%, absolutely, because the Lightning Lanes we had left, even though they were starting to push out a little bit, we still would have been able to get them in a relatively timely manner, as it is a little after, it is about 4:20, we're gonna call it 4:23. In total today, 15 rides. 15 rides, 9 of which were Lightning Lanes. So let's break down once again what our plan of attack was and how you are going to slay your multi-pass day when you come to Disneyland during winter break. What season are we? Yeah, might as well be. During spring break or during the busy season, especially during the summer coming up.
Change of plans, Biscuits. The rain has found us. We will debrief at the hotel. I'll see you there. Hey, Biscuits! So, I'm back, and as you can see, I am very comfortably in bed.
And after being in bed for not even 10 minutes, I fell asleep. So it's going well. So I figured while I am still awake, let's do our recap. And I'm going to try to keep it short and to the point and direct as to how we slayed our day and how you are going to slay your multi-pass when you go to Disneyland, whether that's spring break, during the summer, during a different busy season, holiday, 3-day weekend, whatever it might be. And that starts with the rope drop. A lot of you know by now, I am one of the biggest advocates for rope drop because it allows you to do, not all the time, but it gives you the opportunity to cover a lot of ground in a short amount of time. And a lot of ground can be the volume of rides like we did today in Fantasyland. We knocked out 4 big rides right away between Peter Pan, Snow White, Pinocchio, and Alice in Wonderland. Or covering a lot of ground could be doing the likes of like Rise of the Resistance, or in a really hot summer day, Tiana's Bayou Adventure, or a bigger hitting attraction like that. Space Mountain is another one. And then maybe layering in another attraction that is maybe not quite as high a tier of that, or getting in line for a second attraction that is a high tier that has a lower wait time. So the rope drop, I loved this strategy because there are no multi-pass lightning lanes in Fantasyland. So to be able to knock out some of those attractions and then be able to go to that first lightning lane at 9 when the lines are starting to really get a bit longer, I really like that. But here's kind of the risk that you run. The later you scan in, the later the times push. So I did have to start battling for lightning lanes a little bit earlier, but even then we were still able to accomplish a lot. And my numbers were wrong. 16 rides today, forgot about Jungle Cruise, 9 of which were lightning lanes. So moving on, when can you book? Remember, not until you scan into either Disneyland or Disney's California Adventure, you cannot purchase and you cannot make that first selection. So make sure that you and your party are all on the same account. And once you are all scanned in, that you make sure to include everybody in that reservation before you purchase it, and purchase it right away, as you are speed walk sashaying your way down Main Street. So it can be a lot. You have some leeway. You have some leeway in the morning, so you can get to the rope and then take care of everything as you want. I didn't book a ride until I got to the rope today, but just keep that in mind, and especially on some of the busier days. Order of operations, the PEMDAS, if you will. I really liked the order today. The only difference I would make is putting Indiana Jones in there, but Indiana Jones is down for refurbishment. I need to check to see for when that comes back up. But when it comes to modifying the lightning lanes, patience and persistence. So again, it's going into that modify feature and pulling down on the tab and seeing if you can pull that earlier time or later time, depending on what you are trying to do with your day. I provided a couple of examples of that. If you have any questions about that, please ask for clarification in the comments about modifying for earlier lightning lanes or later lightning lanes as well. And that's going to be your ticket to slaying. Please kick off the 120-minute rule so you can go do some other things. Grab lunch, get a coffee, people watch, see the Disneyland band, see the Dapper Dans, go wander through Batu and do some other things. If you are up for the challenge and you're trying to get them all and park hop between parks and do both parks with multipass, then you get to step in, you keep refreshing and trying to modify those lightning lanes, and you go. But please make sure you're taking care of yourself along the way. But aside from that, it is not a bad thing to have to kick off the 120-minute rule and to force yourself to slow down a little bit, especially if you have some leeway and some time to spare, or you're planning to stay at the park on these late days until midnight. So, a very successful lightning lane day. These are some of my favorite days to get to have. I hope this helps. I hope it was insightful. And again, if you have any questions, please ask them in the comments, and I will answer whatever it is that I can to help clarify and to make sure that you have an incredible multi-pass day when you visit Disneyland and Disney's California Adventure. Now, as always, biscuits, from my bed at the hotel, I'm Jerendelle. I'm Jeremy, but you can call me Jerendelle. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications so anytime I post a video, you get notified right away. And as always, biscuits, I will see you at the parks. Bye!